there. I'm very excited to be talking to you today for Techno Day's International Women's Day event, all about how we can be more visible and get recognized and rewarded for our work. My name is Kayleigh. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a senior front-end engineer at Tray.io, which is a leading low-code automation platform. I've been working in tech now for about 10 years across a range of different sectors and technologies, but I'm not here to talk about anything technical today. I want to talk about self-promotion and becoming more visible, because it was something that I learned fairly late in my career, but it was a real game changer for me. It's helped me to be more intentional with my career goals, helped me to understand my strengths and my weaknesses, and also expand my sphere of influence. It's also opened up new opportunities for me and allowed me to take on new challenges. Opportunities that led me to be also writing today that I was a Tech Women 100 award recipient. I was a judge for Beamer 100's Tech Trailblazer Award, and I'm also an I Am Remarkable facilitator. But to be clear before we start, this isn't going to be a one weird trick for career success type deal, because that's absolutely not the case. Success is going to look different for a lot of different people, and so is self-promotion. There's no one way to go about it. All of our experiences are going to be different, and so it's going to look different for everyone. But what I can say is that if you don't feel like the work that you're putting in is necessarily being recognized, maybe outside of your direct teams, then gaining visibility and engaging in self-promotion can really help you out. I have personally benefited from sharing my experiences with a wider audience and gaining some basic self-promotion skills. So today, I just want to talk to you a little bit about my journey into self-promotion, what I've learned along the way, and how you can use it along your path of where you want to go. It can be a really powerful tool, and it doesn't have to be as scary as it sounds. So what we're going to cover is what self-promotion is, why it can be a key skill, some ways that you can get started, and how you might support other people who are also maybe starting out. So let's start with what self-promotion is and what it isn't, because the word self-promotion can be daunting. There's also a lot of stigma attached to it, you know? We often use this phrase, shameless self-promotion, but not in a positive way. We usually use it to preface before we talk about something that's important to ourselves, almost as a way of apologizing. Even worse, we can sometimes use it to put other people down when they try and talk about things that they're proud of. And it's because of this perception of what we're actually doing here is bragging. But as you'll see, we're not talking about being a show-off or boasting. So I really want to try and encourage everyone to turn this around and say, yeah, this is shameless self-promotion because I'm talking about the things that I'm proud of, and it doesn't have to be a dirty word. So as I said, what we're talking about isn't about being arrogant or cocky. Simply put, the goal is just to help other people to understand the value that you bring, you know, to your teams, to your projects, whatever it is. It's about telling them what you're capable of. So we're talking about increasing the visibility of your experience to people who may be stakeholders in your career, the people that can help you get to where you want to go, so that you can be best placed in a way that uses your skills and helps you to achieve your goals. It's all about self-advocacy, and there's nothing arrogant about that. One thing I like to keep in mind that really helped me to allow myself to showcase my talent is that by letting people know what you're capable of, you're often helping them to do their job. In my previous role, for example, I line managed 3 people. I didn't work on the same projects as them, but I really needed to know when they were ready to step up and how they wanted to grow so that I could find opportunities for them and match them with projects that would help them do that. I really wanted to know what my reportees were capable of so that I could give them the kind of work that allowed them to shine and challenge them, and as well as getting them the support they needed. So it was really awesome for me when they could tell me about the things that they were proud of, challenges that they wanted to take on, etc. So if you're feeling nervous about getting more visible, try to remember that you are often going to be helping others when you do so. So why is it so important that we try and take this on and start self-promoting? Because we're kind of often told that our hard work is going to pay off, in the end. We might think that all of this stuff that we are doing is really going to speak for itself. So why do I need to do it for it, And I thought this for a long time. In fact, I often tell a story about a previous appraisal I had that kickstarted this journey for me. I had a really good year. I felt really proud of what I'd accomplished. But when it came to writing that stuff down, I just couldn't do it without feeling like I was really full of myself and that I was a show-off. And I felt this way because I kind of assumed that my manager already knew what I was doing. We sat next to each other back when we were in an office. We worked on the same project. So I figured he's not going to want to read about all this stuff that he's already seen, that he already knows. But when I came to speak to him in my appraisal, it turned out that there were a load of valuable things that I was doing outside of our project and also inside that he just wasn't aware of. And this is because he had his own work and his own life to worry about, to be so invested in what I was doing. So the truth is that often a lot of your hard work is going to fly under the radar if you don't tell people about it. If you don't let people know about you, you risk waiting to be recognized by the company in order to qualify for promotion. And so this is a quote that I really like. I felt, so self-important saying simple things like, I was a mentor in our apprenticeship scheme. I delivered this key feature. I've taken on 2 more direct reports. Nothing that was like, I'm the best person that you've ever managed, It was just simple things about the things that I had done. And instead, rather than saying those things, I just sat there and expected other people to do that work for me, to recognize it. So if you're proud of something, please, please, please tell people. There's research that tells us that waiting patiently is often not a good strategy for career success. There's a stat that I see floating around fairly often. It's from some research from Harvey Coleman, and it says that when it comes to career progression, performance only accounts for about 10% of overall success. And things like reputation and image can be a huge contributing factor. And this can sound scary, particularly if you're not super confident being visible. And to be clear, this doesn't mean that doing a good job isn't important, because it absolutely is. But what it does tell us is that it can have a huge impact if no one knows about it, particularly if you are from an underrepresented group, like women in tech. Because the further that you are away from the majority, the less likely you are to benefit from the assumption of competence. There's a performance bias that means that people from the dominant group are often judged on their expected potential, what we think that they probably are capable of, while those from the less dominant group are judged by their proven accomplishments, what we know to absolutely be true. And I recognize that this is a tough one to take in, but it means that it's even more important to make sure that your accomplishments are clear. Okay, so hopefully now we understand a little bit more about what self-promotion is and why it's important. To review, self-promotion is about helping others to know what you're capable of and how you want to grow. And it's important because without it, our work could fly under the radar without being recognized. So let's talk about how to get started, because knowing about it and actually doing it are 2 different things. And maybe for you, it doesn't come naturally, or maybe it's hard to know where to start. So here are 4 steps that you can take at the beginning of your self-promotion journey. As I mentioned, I really struggled to talk to people about what I had done. Before I got started, I really needed to do a lot of internal work. These were prerequisites that really helped me to build a solid base. So my first tip is to recognize your value. And this may come easy to you, and if so, that's great. But from my personal experience and from talking to people in my I Am Remarkable workshops, it seems that this is a really important first step that a lot of people struggle with. So my first thing that we're going to do is start cataloging and recognizing our achievements. A really good way to do this is to compile them. I've heard it called a lot of things, a brag file, a big deal list, whatever you call it. This is a place where you collect your accomplishments and any and all positive feedback that you've had. Here's an example of how it might look. In the left-hand side here, I want you to start writing down your achievements. So take some time to think about where you are and all of the steps and the experiences that have brought you to be where you are today. Write down those things that you're proud of, the things that you've achieved. They can be big or small, or they can be old or new. Whatever it is, you can add it to this list. And don't worry about whether it's good enough to go on the list, because I absolutely promise you, it definitely is. So please just add it and try not to censor yourself. My only rule for this is to focus on stuff that you have done or that you are doing, rather than attributes. Remember that we're not bragging here. So this isn't going to be, I'm the best developer there ever was, but the things that you have done and the reasons why, you know, they'll look like things like, I have worked with 5 JavaScript frameworks. I have contributed a bug fix to an open source library that is used across the world. It might be small things, it might be big things, it doesn't matter. These are just the reasons why you should be proud. And if this is difficult, the I Am Remarkable workshop has a great exercise to help you with this. And it can be really hard to start, I understand. When I first did this, I wrote down everything in pencil because I couldn't commit to doing it in pen. But the more that you do it and the more that you practice, the easier it becomes. So just remember that this is only for you at this point. No one else is going to see this unless you want them to, so don't hold back. And then the other thing that you can put in your brag file is any and all feedback that you've had from others. Anytime that you get kudos or a thank you, take a screenshot, write it down, whatever it is, and add it into this list. And now what you have is a list of evidence for why you are so awesome, the reasons why you deserve the promotion, the pay rise, those opportunities that you need to grow, whatever it is. You can refer back to this whenever you need a boost, and more importantly, you can use this information in your appraisals, in your negotiations, in your interview preparations, whatever. Okay, so now you have the big list of stuff that you're proud of. Oh, here's a quick list, sorry, that you can use that doesn't have any of the examples in if you want to screenshot it for reference. So I'll just leave it there for a second. But now you have your list. The next step is to start understanding your goals. This is more internal work to get clear on what you want to achieve and what people you want to say about you when you're not in the room. Remember that you have a brand, whether you know about it or not. So this is just about taking control of that narrative. So here's an exercise to help you figure it out. Grab a piece of paper, create a new Miro board or a Google Doc, whatever works for you, and start asking yourself these things. Firstly, what are your strengths? What are your values and the things that you care about, that you want to be known for? This doesn't have to be an excessive list. It can be 2 or 3 things. It doesn't have to be perfect or permanent, but having a good understanding of what drives you will give you a good basis to talk about the things that matter most. These are the key things that you want people to know about you. It might be your domain skills. It might be your leadership potential, whatever it is. An example here, one of my values is about empowering people. That's the thing that I want to shine through. So you can use that list that you made in your previous exercise to inform this, because all of those examples that you have is going to back this up. And then once you've done that, we're going to talk about the things that you want to do more of moving forwards. What are the things that you want to leave behind? And then in order to get there, what opportunities do you need to make sure this happens? And this particular section can be difficult if you don't know your options. So don't be afraid to ask for help doing this. Your manager will be a really good person that can help you figure those things out. The point of this exercise is just to help you to understand what your goals are, who can help you, and how you're going to get there. And again, here is a version without all of the examples that you can use to help you get started. If you want to take a screenshot and use it, if you want to figure out a format that works for you, whatever. My next tip, moving on, is to start small and find what's comfortable for you. Because it's now time to start practicing. This is all about figuring out what's comfortable. Self-promotion isn't about being the loudest person in the room, and it can mean a lot of different things to different people. So here's how we can get started. Firstly, keep on recognizing your achievements, as we did in the first step. This is absolutely key. Keep on doing this. Ideally, start writing down your achievements weekly, so that you can really keep a track of what you are doing. And then the biggest one is to take some of those things from that list that you have and share them with other people. This is a really big and potentially scary step, but find a trusted individual. It might be a friend or your manager. Maybe you can find other people who are also practicing and share it with them. It's going to help you to understand how to phrase these things in a way that works for you. Recognize that you're not going to always get it perfect, and that's okay. Just take a note of it, and then you can improve it going forwards. If you want to start small, one thing that helped me was this idea of 5-minute favors. So every day I figure out how I can use my skills or my experiences to help someone else. Sometimes this will link directly with my career goals, and other times it won't. But helping others is one of my values, and it's something that I enjoy. It helps me make connections and feel closer to my teams. So this is really beneficial. It could be something small like giving some feedback, writing up some notes from a great conference talk that you've seen recently, sharing something new that you've learned, pairing up to debug a problem, etc. Just for 5 minutes every day. And then try and find a format that works for you. It might be that you want to try out a couple different things and see what fits well with the way that you like to present yourself. Maybe you want to start sharing your thoughts or give an update in a meeting, or maybe it's more comfortable to take some time to prepare what you want to say, and you can ask for 10 minutes on the agenda. It might be that you find it easier to write stuff down, and so sharing and contributing to a newsletter works for you, or maybe getting involved in like Slack threads. Maybe there's a group of people that you feel more comfortable sharing with, and you want to think about how you can utilize that or recreate that in other places. What you can do is look for a role model that self-promotes in a way that feels good for you. You can even reach out to them for help. But whatever it is, make sure that you keep on practicing, and don't be too hard on yourself if it doesn't go the way that you expect it to. Remember that self-promotion is a skill, and so like any skill, it takes work and it takes practice, and it's not always going to be something that you are the best at straight away. The key is just to keep on practicing and keep on improving. And then my last tip is arguably the most important. It's about making safe spaces for everyone to be visible. So this is about challenging bias and social norms that can hold underrepresented groups back from self-promoting. We know, for example, that women are significantly less likely to self-promote than their male peers. There's a lot of societal issues around self-promotion for women, and we have expectations of them to be humble, to talk about other people's achievements, but not your own. And many underrepresented groups are going to have similar stereotypes and biases that hold them back from being more visible. Often when they try, we end up punishing them for engaging in counter-stereotypical behavior. So here are some small things that you can do to try and make spaces safe for others. The first one is to recognize your own bias. Everyone has blind spots. And those cultural expectations for women to be modest can often be more strongly defended by other women than they can by men. So if you see someone else doing what you want to do, trying to be more visible, sharing their thoughts in a meeting, taking credit for their work, owning their achievements, and your instinct is to judge them, it triggers you a little bit, then maybe try and take a moment and ask yourself why. Would you be feeling the same way if it came from someone else? Because your judgment, particularly if you go and share it with other people, is going to be a huge barrier to them succeeding, and it's also going to create barriers for you succeeding. The other things that we can do, we can start attributing correctly and amplifying voices. So as I mentioned earlier, underrepresented groups tend to be judged based on their proven accomplishments, whereas dominant groups are judged by their expected potential. And what this means is that underrepresented groups can tend to get less credit for their work unless their contributions are specifically called out. So you can use your voice to amplify others who may otherwise struggle to be heard. And as I mentioned before, a lot of people that I have spoken with about self-promotion and women in particular will feel much more comfortable talking about other people's success than their own. And while I definitely agree with winning and losing as a team, if you are a manager or someone with the power to hire or promote, you need to know what that person's role in the success was. So if you recognize someone saying, we did this, the team did this, try asking them some probing questions about what their role was in that team and the part that they played in that success, so that they're not giving away credit to other people without giving the credit to themselves. The other thing that you can do if you're part of that team is give them a shout out, feedback to them personally, and let them know what they have done that was awesome. Tell their managers, this will really help them. And please get permission first before you do this, because it's not suitable for everyone, but you can share it publicly so that everyone can see what they have done for you. And then lastly, hold space and invite them in. So creating a space for someone to share their insights and making it clear that it's a safe space to do so is about leaving room for them to share, but also about looking around you and asking if there is room for someone who isn't already there. Would this be an opportunity for someone who isn't here? And if so, can you bring them along and open up that opportunity for them? So those are my 4 steps to getting started with self-promotion. The first one is recognize your value and keep on doing so. Understand what your goals are and what you want to achieve. Start small and find what's comfortable for you so that you can continue practicing in a sustainable way. And then lastly, make safe spaces for everyone to self-promote. The space isn't safe unless it's safe for everyone. And one last point about this is that you can lead by example. By being more visible, you are creating space for other people to be visible too. And you never know who you are going to inspire. So please keep practicing. Here are some follow-up resources that can help you in your self-promotion journey, take it further. So as I mentioned, I Am Remarkable workshops are a great resource for this. They are free and they're happening all the time. They are a Google-backed workshop and they aim to inspire everyone, but particularly people from underrepresented groups, to self-promote in confident ways. There's the No More Hiding podcast by Gemma Stowe. It's a great resource. I really enjoy it. And then there's also F Being Humble, Hustle Crew. They have great resources about self-promotion that can help you continue learning. So thank you so much for listening to me for the last 30 minutes or so. I hope that this has inspired you to try and be more visible and take control of your narrative. If you try out any of these tips or you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me and connect with me on LinkedIn. My name's Kayleigh Ridd. I'd love to follow your journey. You can tweet to me. I'm at Kayleigh_Ridd on Twitter. So yeah, let me know what you thought about this session. If you have any questions, if you want to start this conversation, and also I would love to hear how it goes for you. Good luck.